Welcome to YouARFID What You Eat, a channel where we deal with some of the issues that somebody with avoidance restrictive food intake disorder deals with on a daily basis. My name is Chris. Today I want to talk about ARFID and relationships. As anyone with ARFID knows, it is a very lived experience. Each individual experience will vary, so a lot of what I'm going to say today is very subjective. It will be case to case, it'll be situation to situation, person to person. But it's all going to be fairly general information, or general opinions I should say, because I'm not an expert. The only experience of ARFID I have is mine. So it's really important I say that off the bat, just so you understand to take everything I say today with a grain of salt. And if it feels like it's not something that you agree with, or you don't necessarily align with the views I have on this stuff, that's totally cool. But with all that said, with the big old disclaimer out of the way, let's just kind of hop into it here a little bit. One of the first things I wanted to talk about right away is I think it's really important to start any relationship with a certain degree of honesty. I'm not saying like you're on a date and the very first thing you do is just walk in and say, I have ARFID. But what I am saying is if it comes up organically, you don't have to hide from it. You don't have to mask it. You don't have to pretend it's not a thing or act like you just eat like everybody else. It's not a shameful thing. Right off the bat, you can see if this is going to be an issue that somebody you're with or want to be with can't look past, then you learn something really valuable right away. This doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be the end of a relationship either. But not everyone is going to compromise with you on that. Some people right off the bat will just say, I don't want to be with somebody who's going to be like that. The sooner you get it out of the way, honestly, I feel like it's the better. That way you can at least just kind of build on an honest foundation and go from there. Which leads to my second kind of approach, which I want to talk about, is curiosity versus judgment. Speaking first to people with ARFID, try not to immediately take it personally if someone you meet doesn't know what ARFID is, or doesn't maybe immediately understand it.
Hello, just popping in with an edit here to note that you're a doctor. Please know what ARFID is. You really should. You really should know. Like, there's really not much of an excuse for that. Like, for everybody else, fair enough. But if you're a doctor, please, for all of us of ARFID's sake, please know what ARFID is. Thank you.
Well, it's been over a decade now. ARFID is still a relatively newly classified disorder. It can take time. It can take generations sometimes to disseminate this kind of information into the cultural brain. It's easy to project the struggles that you've faced and the feelings that people have put on you towards your ARFID onto somebody you just met, and immediately just hoist onto them these preconceived notions of how they're going to treat you. Which brings me to people who don't have ARFID. When someone tells you they have ARFID, try not to imply any preconceived notions with your reaction to hearing it. Hear the person with ARFID out. Trust that they probably have a better understanding of their body, their disorder, and their life than you do. A lot of people will have this feeling in the back of their minds that they have already decided whether or not your ARFID is real. And they will ask you loaded questions with the intention of bottlenecking you into essentially admitting that you are childish, or that you're making it up, or that you're not owning responsibility for your own health. No relationship can endure loaded judgment. So if you are needling somebody who's telling you about ARFID with preloaded judging questions in an attempt to kind of box them into what you see their condition to be, you are making them small, you are denying them a certain piece of trust between individuals. And funny enough, you are denying yourself the respect of a partner with mutual admiration. If your partner can't give you their honest assessments of what they're going through, and you can't respect it honestly back, then you're not going to have an honest, healthy relationship. So when someone tells you they have ARFID, don't be quick to rush to judgment on it, because there's nothing to gain by just judging other people like this. There's no value in it. It uplifts neither of you. Which leads me to compromise and accommodation. For example, one of the most common issues that people with ARFID have in a relationship is the ability to enjoy food together with their partner. My partner and I deal with this kind of issue all the time. I'm the kind of person with ARFID that really loves eating, and she loves eating. But obviously I can only eat like a handful of things. We are constantly compromising on this, but we always find a way to make a peace with it and end up in scenarios where we're both fed and happy. Sometimes I'll just eat before we get to the restaurant if we're gonna go out. And many times she'll come and sit with me at a restaurant that I want to eat at, and she'll just have something small and I'll enjoy the meal I want to have. But we make it work, we accommodate and we compromise to one another. A lot of people with ARFID don't even like to eat in front of other people at all. They find it to be a very awkward thing, and it stresses them out and just further adds to their anxiety. So maybe it's better just to not eat out at all if that's what it needs to be. Maybe you're the kind of person who really loves cooking for other people, but your partner has ARFID and can't eat anything you cook. Perhaps you'd like to cook for them, but they like having control over what they make. And it's really essential to their ARFID that they can see every aspect of what they make themselves and have full control over that. If that's the case, it's really important that you don't take that personally. You have different relationships with food. The relationship you have with food doesn't have to be the same relationship you have with each other. How they wish to handle their ARFID and how it affects their life, their relationship with food, is for them to decide, not you. It leads me to one of my personal opinions. This is a big opinion here. Do not try to fix somebody with ARFID. They are not broken. This is not a challenge for you to correct. With a disorder that comes with so much anxiety as ARFID does, when you put the stress on somebody of trying to correct them, it just makes it all that much more difficult for them. We often feel like we're failing ourselves already, even though we aren't. We don't need any help feeling down about our relationship with food. Having to feel like we're failing you because we aren't fixing like you want us to is not something that we need. There's a constant anxiety with ARFID. There's a constant fear of missing out. We know. Trust me, like, we are well aware that ARFID sucks. I know. Let us deal with this on our terms, because when you treat it like a challenge, like a project, it makes us feel less than, and it can cause strain on a relationship upon which mutual respect is a key element. And if somebody wants to try and make progress with their ARFID, to try and grow, to try and take little incremental steps towards maybe a healthier living or a life that provides more opportunities for eating, for a larger palate than, 5 or 6 safe foods like so many of us have. Understand that these things happen at different paces for different people. Whatever the next step might be for somebody with ARFID, they're not always ready to take it. We might need time. So do not attempt to shock somebody into making progress. It almost always makes things worse, not better. And now you're just damaging your trust. Which leads you to another really big thing. If you're in a relationship or you're just making food for somebody with ARFID, never, ever sneak something into their meal that they do not want to be there. Maybe you're trying to help. Maybe it is a genuine attempt to help. What you're really doing 9 times out of 10 is betraying our trust and damaging our relationship with food. And now you're damaging our relationship with foods that we already trusted to begin with, making that food more troubling. We don't need that. Usually this just sets us further backwards. I have a very good sense of the things I eat. I eat very specific things, so if there's slight differences to them, I'm going to notice. If you care about somebody and you want to be in a relationship with them, respect them enough to respect their boundaries and their choices. If they wish to take a step, let them take it at their pace, when they're ready. Understand too that just because you're excited about a food doesn't mean that the person with ARFID is. And just because you have ARFID and aren't excited about food doesn't mean that the other person doesn't have a right to be. Or here's one I hear a lot too. I've heard this so many times, is like, you tell somebody you don't like something, and what they tell you is, oh no, you'll like it. You just haven't had it made right. Or they'll be like, wait till I make it for you. Then you'll like it, I promise. So, fine. Someone tries to make something for you, you try it out, and shocker, you don't end up liking it. And now the person who was so proud of how they cook and was so excited to make this thing for you feels bad. They're disappointed. They're offended that you didn't like the thing that you told them you weren't going to like. Do not take my ARFID personally. It's personal enough for me. It doesn't mean you're not a good cook or that the food wasn't good. It means I didn't like it. It means I can't enjoy it. It has nothing to do with the food. I just don't like a lot of things. So if someone in your life has ARFID and you've run into this scenario, please don't take it personally. And if they tell you they're not going to like something, just let them not like it. It's okay. And since a lot of this is kind of in heavy subject matter, I feel like it's also important to say at the end here, when you care about somebody with ARFID, you got to celebrate every little victory and every little failure. A lot of times ARFID is a trial and error. It is a constant trying and trying and trying. It's easier to lose progress with ARFID than it is to make progress. Therefore, you really need to treat it as a positive when things go well for you. And make negativity, for that matter, not feel so negative. If a brand I trust changes its packaging or changes how they make the food, if it wasn't prepared the way I like to have it prepared that day, if it happens to be touching another food on the plate, all of these things can have a negative impact on my relationship with food. Even foods I love, even foods I trust. If you really want to be with somebody that has ARFID, you could be dealing with this the rest of your life. I probably will be. I don't expect to get over my ARFID. I don't think it's ever going to just stop. It's more about managing it for me and making steps towards living a healthier life. And I'm happy to say that I've done that over the years. I'm much healthier now. Much healthier now than I used to be. And that's taken a lot of time and it has taken a lot of effort to get where I am today. And part of why I've been able to do that at all is because I have a partner that respects me and helps me and is there for me and celebrates me when I do well and helps pick me up when I fall. Just because you have an eating disorder doesn't mean you can't build those things. Doesn't mean you can't have a partner who respects you, who loves you, and vice versa. It doesn't mean anything. It just means maybe you'll have to work a little harder at it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get lucky and find someone who has ARFID too. Who knows? In any case, I'm probably just rambling at this point, but I hope that this has been a helpful video for you today. I hope I've made some points that maybe you can work with. But yeah, this is youARFIDwhatyoueat. My name's Chris. If you have any questions or comments or any thoughts on any of this, please do not hesitate to reach out and let me know. I'd love to hear any feedback that you might have for me. And And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful day, and don't worry, the next video won't be so heavy. It'll probably just be me trying a food or something. But until then, you have a great day, and take care. Okay, bye-bye.